Monday the 9th of May 2016. This is a prophetic dream / eyewitness account. This prophetic dream that I've just received is one of the most terrifying prophetic dreams I have ever had in my life, and very emotional. And if I get emotional during this, please forgive me. It felt so real. Before I get into the dream, just want to set the scene. Yesterday I went to church, and during the church service, the Holy Spirit fell on me very strongly. My body was shaking violently, out of control, pretty much throughout most of the service. And a bit later yesterday in the day, I was thinking about these videos that I make and put on YouTube, and I thought I've covered all messages that I've wanted to cover, and everything that I've heard from the Lord I have now put into video form, and there is nothing left. And I basically thought, that's it, I won't be making any more videos for a long time now, until this dream. So I went to sleep and had this dream. And let's begin the dream. So it's going to come across as a story to you, pardon me. And I suppose that's exactly the way it is. I'm just going to share it how it was. Okay, so in the dream it was my own life. I was, me and my wife Hayley were driving along in somewhere in the UK. I believe it was close to Wales, and we were driving along quite happily, and we had a few bits with us. And I don't know if we're on a day trip or if we're camping or what, but we were just driving along, and suddenly we were driving between like these big cliffs, and there was these Japanese men there. In like military police kind of uniform, and it was normal everyday day, you know, nothing was different to anything else. It was a normal day, and these Japanese men, they stopped us, and there was a checkpoint there, and they stopped us, and they were in such a rush, like, you know, please forgive me if I get emotional because it terrifies me going over it, like, you know. And they were running around, and they were going in and out of people's houses, and they were stopping cars, and they were talking, and they were blowing this weird, what do you call it, a dictaphone? I don't know what you call it, but this thing, and they were saying stuff in Japanese, and I couldn't understand what they were talking about. And they pulled me and my wife over, and they said, you have to get away from here. You have to get away from here now. Right now. I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And they said, turn around and drive as fast as you possibly can to high ground or away from here. In my dream, we were near the coast. We were near the beach. I think we were going to the beach, actually, between these two cliffs. I said, what? I said, what are you talking about? And I was a little bit nervous at first, wondering what they wanted, like, you know. And they said, there is a tsunami coming. They said, you have now 34 minutes, and so it hits. I said, what? What do you mean a tsunami's coming? And they said, you have 34 minutes. He said to me, I said, and I was in sheer shock, and panic set in, and my wife was like, well, what do you mean? And what do you mean? How can it be? How is it even possible? And they said the tsunami warning's been given by the National Tsunami Centre or something. There is a tidal wave. It's coming inland. It's coming fast across the Atlantic Ocean. We have 34 minutes. I said, well, how high are the waves? And he said the waves are at 70 feet. 70 feet. I said, 70 feet. He said, yes, 70 feet. He remained sort of calm, this guy, but at the same time, he was running around in a bit of a panic trying to tell everybody. I turned to my wife immediately, and I said, Hayley, we've got to get out of here. We've got to go now. We turned the car around very fast, and I remember we had quite a lot of stuff in the car. Maybe we were going on holiday, I don't know, and we just threw it all out to light in the car, and we noticed that then the situation was that the cars were in gridlock situation, and we couldn't move, and we were both very scared. And I said, babe, just turn the car off. Let's go down to the train station, the tube station now. Let's go now, you know. And so we just left the car, and we ran down into this like train station underground. I said, she said, where are we going? I said, I don't know. Let's just let's try and get home to my car. Let's just go, like, you know. And as I'm saying this, I got tears coming out of my face. It was that horrendous, this dream, prophetic dream it is, and the Lord confirmed that to me. But anyway, so we were waiting for this train, and the train station was very packed, the tube station underground, and suddenly this lady, everyone was, there were people in panic there, and some people weren't. And this lady, I don't know how, but she went onto the train track, and she got electrocuted by the train track. And so my wife Hayley said, "Oh, I'm going to go and help her." And I said, "No, you will not, babe." I said, "You will not help her." I said, "It's dangerous. You could get electrocuted as well." And she said, "No, I'm going to help her. She's going to be fine." And I said, "Well, if you're sure, if you must, you know, but be quickly because we've got to go now. We've got to get on the train." And my wife, she walked out onto the train track to help this lady. And she tried to pull this lady, and I believe this lady must have been dead. And my wife, she was walking towards me, and I said, "We gotta go." And she trod off the part of the track, and it electrocuted her. And she, oh sorry. And she fell over, and she was lifeless, and she was lying there on this track. And it really hurt me and really upset me, and I was like, "This is my wife." And she was lying there lifeless, and I tried to run over to her, and I tried to help her, but I couldn't do anything. And 1 minute we were like driving along all fine, and then this bloke said there's a tsunami coming inland. We got 34 minutes. We end up in this train station, then my wife lying lifeless on this railway track. And again, she didn't listen to me. Hayley's always running off. She never listens to me. If she'd listened, she still would be alive. And I nearly broke down, but I thought, I can't break down. I've got to get out of here. Like, I started to worry about my twin brother Jamie and my other family and friends, and I was worrying so bad about him. And this fear that this wave was coming, and I thought, if I stay here, I'm going to drown and I'm going to die in the most horrendous way. And I had to get out of there. And then suddenly, my wife, like, looked up, and she was alive. And I don't know how, but I managed to get her off this track and into the car, but she was slowly dying. And in the dream, she'd like suddenly lost a lot of weight, and she was dying. So I was now taking my wife with me. I was happy that she was alive, but she wasn't the same, and she was like a vegetable, you know, kind of like brain dead. And so anyway, so moving on to the next part of the dream, I don't know how, but I come across my brother Jamie, and he was living in sin, because he has been most of his life, and he was still living in sin, and I was so frantically worried about him because of his spiritual state. And he was drinking still, and I thought, oh my goodness, I was like, you're still drinking even now? There is a tsunami coming. I don't even know how long we've got left now, because when we were at that gatehouse or whatever it was, or where those barriers were, we had 34 minutes. We must have only 15 minutes now, like, you know. And I thought, are you ever going to stop living in sin? Are you really going to carry on like this, Jamie? Like, you know? Yeah, because he drinks a lot of booze and smokes weed and stuff. And he was just like, "Oh, I don't care." And I said, "We could be minutes from death, man. You know? And, you know, you need to sort it out and get right with the Lord, like, you know." And he was just like, "Oh, shut the effing hell up, and I don't effing care, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to die anyway." And I thought, for flip's sake, man, what's wrong with you, like, you know? And anyway, we managed to get to my car, and my wife is very ill, and I had to leave her with some people that I didn't know, and they said they would take care of her, and I had to quickly get my car and some survival gear and stuff, you know. And So it's weird how dreams are, because we weren't at home, but I left her with some people and they put blankets around her and she was very, very poorly. And I grabbed my car and I tried to get my brother Jamie into the car with me, but he wouldn't listen. And he was just doing his stupid thing that he does, and he was just walking around drinking down the high street in Bournemouth called Winton, like, you know. I don't know why he was doing that, but he was. And I got in my car and I quickly rushed home. I don't know how many minutes I had left until the tsunami at this point. And I got home and there were suddenly others there with me. And they said, we haven't got time, you've got to go now. We have to go right now. And see, guys, the thing is, I've prepared for this stuff. I know the end times are coming. I know we're in the end days. And I prepared. I had survival gear. I had shelving worth of survival gear. And in real life, I have shelvings worth of survival gear. I have about £3,000 worth of survival equipment at home. Water filtration systems. I have stuff to make fire. I've got the clothing. I've got rifle. I've got handgun. The gas powered. I've got loads of pellets and cleaning stuff and solar panel charger and all sorts of different things, like, you know. And I ran in there. My car was sort of full, and I was chucking bits out onto the street of just stuff that's usually in my car. I ran all the way up the stairs because it's 3 flights up. My stuff is on the 3rd floor. Maybe this is a lesson to bring it onto the bottom floor, you know. And I literally only had enough time to grab my rifle, a couple of tins of pellets, and that was it. And I looked at the rest of my survival gear there, and I was thinking, even though I was fully prepared for this, I was caught completely unprepared. And I haven't got enough time to grab all my survival gear. And I ran back to the car, and that was it. That's all I had. And I thought, well, that was pointless. What was the point in spending all that money on that survival gear for it just to go to waste, like, you know? And more to the point, I was thinking, we need this survival gear. Now my wife is terribly ill because she wouldn't listen and stepped onto the train track and nearly killed herself. Well, virtually did, you know, turned herself into a vegetable, and it was just bloody awful, like, you know. And so I managed to get back into my car with just my rifle and stuff, and I went back and I went to pick my wife up, and she couldn't walk. She was physically disabled and mentally disabled, and I picked her up in my arms, and I had a blanket over her, and I took her out to my car and I put her in there, and then I was frantically rushing because the Japanese man gave us a postcode to a location. Yeah, see, I remember this bit now, but earlier in the dream, like I said, when I get to the train station, we were trying to get our survival gear, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if it was coming or going or what, like, you know. Anyway, I remember this Japanese man gave me a postcode, and he said, go here. He said it's 80 feet above sea level. It's the highest place. He said there's food there, there's water, there's shelter. I said, but wait a minute, if the tsunami is at 70 feet and that's 80 feet, I said, we're only going to be 10 feet above the water. He said, yes. He said, have you got a better option? I was like, no. And he said, go there. And I said, well, how far is it? And he said, it's like an hour away. I said, an hour away? And I said, it's due here in 34 minutes. So this is going back into the earlier part of the dream. And he said, well, you'll have to go fast. And I knew that it meant going along lots of country lanes and up big hills and stuff like that. Anyway, so at this point in the dream, I had my wife and I had this blanket over her. And I put her into the car. And I suddenly, someone turned around to me and said, what about your brother Jamie? And I was like, crap, my brother Jamie. He's wandering around in Winton somewhere. I've got to go and get him. And I went out to Winton, and there was chaos, and people were rioting everywhere, and everything was in chaos. Nobody was expecting it. It was so sudden, you know. This stuff was so sudden. It was a bright summer's day where we were, and suddenly there it all was, you know. And I got there, and Jamie had been stabbed. Someone stabbed my brother, and I thought he was gonna die. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why didn't you bloody listen? Why didn't you stop drinking? Why? You know, and he was there, and he was also dying in my dream. You know, the bloody pain of it, man. I can't even begin to tell you, man. My wife was like a vegetable. My brother had just been stabbed and he was dying, and he was an alcoholic and he was living in sin. And I was just there and I was like, bloody hell. I've only got my rifle with me and I hadn't even got all my survival gear. I wasn't even expecting this. I knew that these judgments were coming, but I didn't know they were coming today. And suddenly it was there. And my family, my closest loved ones were dying around me, man. And anyway, I tried to get Jamie into the car and he wouldn't listen. And somehow he pulled out this like machine gun. I don't know where he got it from. And he started holding somebody up in their car and he said, get out now, get out now. And he tried to take their car off him. And I knew that I had to leave Jamie there and I had to go without him because time was so short and we had to go. And these other people were saying we had to go, and I think they were with me in my car. And Jamie, I had to leave him behind, and I had to try and trust the Lord that Jamie was in the Lord's hands. And I was so horrendously upset. And I looked at my brother, and I knew that was probably the last time I was ever going to see him. And there was no way that I could persuade him or convince him. He was on a mission of his own, man. And he was drunk and he was dying. He was dying. He was being stabbed a few times in the chest area. I don't even know how he was still alive, but he was dying. And my attention then went back to my wife, and I looked at my wife, and she was in like a vegetable state in the car. I want to swear so bad because my wife, she was dying, my brother was dying, and everyone was dying. And then we started to make our way. I started to drive very fast to this location. And then again, gridlock, and I ended up back in a train station. So it's weird. Like earlier I was saying, I was in the train station, then I was in a car, and now I'm in a train station again. You know how dreams are. I ended up in the train station again, and it was it. It was too late. My wife was waiting down in the train station. I was in a car or something, and I was at the edge of this train station. It was near a forest, and it was dark. And I was overlooking, like I was looking in the distance, and I knew the wave was coming, and I knew it was higher than 70 feet, and it was dark, and that was the end of the dream. But as I was coming out of this dream, the Lord spoke to me, and He said to me, put this onto YouTube, put this video onto YouTube. He said, now I wouldn't use this title myself, but he said to me, you're my prophet. He said, you're a prophet, put this video onto YouTube. I said, Lord, I want to put nicer videos onto YouTube, but people don't understand. They can't see the nice side of me. So this is weird. I was coming out of the dream. I wasn't quite awake yet, and I wasn't fully asleep now. I was coming out of the dream, and I was still horrified by what I'd just seen. And he said to me, you're a prophet, you're a prophet, you're a prophet. Put this video onto YouTube. And I said, I'm not a prophet, Lord. He said, you are my prophet, put this onto YouTube. Now, I'm not a prophet. I'm not the end-time prophet. I'm not Elijah, but I believe he was saying, you're a prophet, you know. That's what he said, like, you know. Put this video onto YouTube. And again, I kept saying, well, I want to put nicer videos onto YouTube. He said, they don't understand. He said, you must share this message. It has to go onto YouTube. I said, okay, Lord. And I woke up from the dream, and that was that. And that was very vivid and very clear. And then as soon as I woke up out of the dream into real life, I was so scared. I was looking everywhere. I was looking around the room like, you know, where's this wave? What's happening? Where's my wife? You know, how's my brother? I was terrified. Anyway, I made a quick cuppa and I decided to record this, and here it is. That was the dream. Listen, right, I don't claim to be a prophet. I'm not saying that's my title. I would never claim to be a prophet. I'm just a normal everyday Christian. But that's what was said to me in the last bit of that dream. So I guess what you take from this is very real, and it's coming. And when it happens, it will be sudden. And this is definitely coming. This is very real. This was a prophetic dream from the Lord Jesus Christ. He gave it to me, and He wanted me to share it on here. He told me to share it on here immediately. And even as I got distracted before I recorded it, the Lord was saying, you've got to put this on now. You've got to record this now and get it on there. So there you have it. There was a dream, and it wasn't a dream. It's a prophetic dream. This is coming, and some of you will be in this situation with your very own families, and it's horrifying. Make sure you are ready with the Lord. Make sure you are ready. This stuff is coming. It absolutely horrified me. Horrified me so bad. Keep your eyes on Jesus. We have to keep our eyes on Jesus. It's the only way we're going to get through this. It's the only way. Alright, take care. God bless yourself. Take care, man. Bye.